this thing on? All right. Hey guys, I got a good example today of how quick testing at the DLC can lead to the proper diagnosis of a vehicle. So hang tight, I think you'll like this one. Okay, so what we had here was a no start, no crank, and the student ended up checking for communication. They had no communication. But where this story gets really interesting is this vehicle was actually a timing chain job. So the upper intake was off, valve covers were off, timing chains were replaced, and after it was put back together is when all this, the no start situation happened. So starting here, the first thing I told the student to do was to check all the powers and grounds, of course, and they went over everything. And being a technician, we get stuck on the idea that it's got to be something that we touched. In this case, it wasn't so. So the tunnel vision was it's got to be something loose. It's got to be a bad connector, a blown fuse, a bad ground. I mean, I was almost dead set that this thing had to have a bad ground problem. As you see here, this is the situation we had where the lights would flash on, flash off, and it wouldn't start. So we got a 2011 Edge that has no communication with a BCM, PCM. All these modules are not communicating. The only thing that is showing up on this vehicle is communicating is the HVAC and the TPM module, which is your tire pressure monitor module. And everything goes haywire, dash goes out, radio comes on and off, and everything will turn off here. The blower motor's stuck on high. Quick testing at the DLC with the DVOM, we were able to locate the fault. We went to pins 6 and 14 at the DLC, and we've got 65 ohms, which is just a little bit on the high side. For the resistance, we're always looking for approximately 60 ohms, but it was up to like 67 ohms. If we turn the key on this vehicle, let me turn the meter off, turn the key to the run position. I'm gonna put my meter to the voltage scale, and let's go to a ground. We're showing 4.8 volts on pin 6, and also on 14 we are showing 4.9 volts. So I want to get the scope on here and I'll show you guys what we find out. Alright, so taking a look at what we have with the oscilloscope, we go back in this vehicle here, and this is right where our meter leads were. We were getting to 4.8, 4.9 volts with our multimeter. This is the pattern we got with our oscilloscope. So let me go ahead and zoom out on this. Now I can tell you, with my experience with testing a CAN bus, you don't usually always see a standard pattern here. This is a very relatively repeatable pattern. It's going on and on and on. And that's not normal. You don't usually see that on the CAN bus. So let's take a look and zoom in here and see what we had. Bringing both of our patterns to zero here, we can just take our cursors and zoom in and see, you can see the blue line here, which is channel A, is kind of resting at 5 volts. It's pulling down to approximately 3.8 volts. And this is no good here. We have a problem. And it's just clear as day, we have a CAN bus problem. So I was still hung up in my head there was a ground problem, so I was still scoping out this thing, taking a look around. So taking a look at our wiring diagrams here, I was taking a look here, and we know pin 6 and pin 14 were our culprits. That's what I was going after, and that's the high-speed CAN. So right away, this network splits off and goes all kinds of different directions. So we want to take a look at all the modules on that network. So, and also when I'm taking a look at stuff like that, I like to find what's easy to get to. So when we're going here, it goes to the body control module and front lighting control module if it had it, and it doesn't. So looking around, back to the same thing here. We went to the back to this diagram, and we're following this. We have here the API module, accessory protocol interface module, instrument cluster. Down further, we've got the heads-up display, which this vehicle didn't have. We have the steering column control module. All these things could possibly be faults. Going further down the data line on the CAN bus, we got the restraints control module, back to the body control module, parking aid module, occupancy classification module. These are all modules on the network that could be potentially causing our problem here. And but I'll tell you what I did. Going here, we got the ABS module. If this thing had the high-end thing, I think on the Lincoln MKZ or something, or whatever that model is of the same vehicle, it has the headlights have the modules in them, but this one doesn't. But we got the cruise control module, powertrain control module. I was thinking this thing had to have a smashed wire or something like that. But going to the PCM and disconnecting the PCM and retesting the CAN bus, we still had that 4.9 volts showing with our meter. We still had the same pattern on the scope. So we reconnected the PCM, and looking at all these different modules, I determined, and this is kind of sheer luck, that the next easiest module to get to without tearing apart the cluster or trying to take apart the dash to get to the cluster would be the ABS module. Now, we did have to get the battery tray out of there, and when we disconnected the ABS module, everything came back to life. We had a vehicle that was communicating again, and it would start and run. Okay, so going way down in here and disconnecting the ABS control module, right away the key, turning the key on, everything seems a bit back to normal. And taking our voltmeter, going to ground, going to the CAN low, we're at 2.2 volts, and then going to the CAN high, we're at 2.6 volts. So our ABS control module is causing a problem. All of our codes have come back. We do have communication with things that we didn't have communication with before. Network test, everything passed except for the ABS. Going back here to our scope, this pattern here was our CAN bus when it came back alive. Now let me, there is a little bit of noise here, and it's not the clearest picture, but that's how it is on vehicles. There is going to be noise and stuff going on. So let me just zero both these out so you can see the mirror image that's going on here of the CAN bus. So the CAN bus should mirror each other. Now let me zoom in just so you can get a look, see what's happening here. And this is what we had, and this is normal communication. Now there are times some modules pull a little higher or lower, but there's like a threshold voltage that it's looking to pass, and this is all good. So we have data packets, and if I scroll through here just so you guys can see as we go, you'll have sporadic bursts of data. It's not always a smooth repeatable pattern, but this is what it's supposed to look like. So we're going to check out if we plug this ABS control module back in, if everything still stays online and works properly. The module probably got in some sort of logic lock as the battery was disconnected. ABS module is plugged back in here. We turn our key on. Unfortunately, we go back up to the 4.8 volts on the CAN bus line. I do one key cycle. Actually, I lied. I'm going to do two. So everything's looking good. Refreshing and reading the codes here. And we're pass. I love it. I don't see any codes popping up, nothing to worry about here. Looking good. We have this flat line, and it's approximately 2.5 volts for both channels. That's both a CAN high and a CAN low. The CAN low gets pulled low, the CAN high gets pulled high. That's all it is. It's pretty simple. But looking at this, this is a much better representation of what a CAN bus should look like. And if we look at our CAN low, it gets pulled down to approximately, if I look like that, approximately 1.23 volts, and the CAN high gets pulled up to about 3.6 volts. So if we just take this and zoom in, that's one thing I like about the PicoScope, it's very easy to use. If we measure the difference, like on channel A, from the top or bottom of channel A, which is our blue, all the way up to the top of channel B, you're going to see 2.434 volts. So that's almost 2.5 volts difference between the high and the low. And so there's a lot of great information out there on the CAN bus. I'm not an expert on it, but I'm just trying to show you guys how easy it is to test this stuff. As you see on the last clip here on the vehicle, you can use just the regular voltmeter and you can see when it's good. So everything's back to normal on this vehicle. Guys, keep on testing good cars so you know what bad looks like. We'll be in touch. Thank you. Also, I'll show you guys something cool with PicoScope that I'm just learning a little bit about, but it's pretty good stuff. If we go to the tool menu, we'll go to tools, we're going to make a math channel. Okay, we're going to use a math channel, should I say. We're going to go A minus B. So we just created another channel here, okay? And this is on our scope. So we have, if you take channel A minus B, this is what you get. This pattern up here, and that's doesn't mean much, but we can also go to tools and we go to serial decoding, and we're going to create a CAN bus decoder, and we're going to look at the data. We're going to look at channel A minus B and grab a section, and we can actually see the CAN data. And it doesn't mean a whole lot to you, but we have the module identifiers, another section, and this is the data packet, and this is some other parts of it. I'm still learning this, but it's pretty cool. You can take this and you can run this and export it to Excel. If you wanted to, you can put it on a table so you can see a table, which makes a lot of information in this screen. But like I said, I'm still learning, but this is the data packet. It tells you all kinds of information. It's a little bit above my head, but I'm going to continue to learn and see if I can figure something out someday.